They smile in your face, then twist your words behind your back. They ask if you're okay, but only so they can use your answer against you later. You try to stay kind, you try to explain, you try to keep the peace. But somehow, every time, you end up the one doubting yourself, feeling like maybe it really was your fault. Maybe you are too sensitive. Maybe you are the problem. That's exactly what they want you to believe. And toxic people don't just want to hurt you. They want to break your spirit. They don't win by shouting louder. They win the moment you start questioning your own worth. And the worst part, it's not strangers doing this. It's people you love, people you trusted, people who know exactly how to hurt you, and still choose to do it anyway. So how do you protect your peace when the attack feels so personal? How do you stay calm when they are doing everything in their power to make you explode? Because here's the truth no one wants to say out loud. They want you broken. And the most powerful thing you can do is not break. Keep listening. I'm going to show you how to become untouchable. Not by fighting harder, but by never letting them reach you again. They make you believe it's all about them. Their bad mood, their stress, their trauma, their bad childhood. They always have an excuse, and somehow you always become the one expected to absorb it, to carry it, to fix it. And for a long time, you thought that was compassion. You thought being the bigger person meant shrinking yourself just enough so they could feel bigger, so they could feel okay. So the tension would die down even if you were the one dying inside. But here's the hidden truth. Toxic people don't need fixing. They need control. They aren't waiting to be rescued. They're waiting for you to let your guard down so they can twist the knife deeper. They don't want peace. They want power. And the easiest way to get it is through your emotions. See, when you keep thinking the solution is to explain yourself better, to communicate harder, to try just one more time, you're playing right into their game. They don't misunderstand you by accident. They misunderstand you on purpose, because confusion is control. The more you're spinning, the less you can stand still. The less you trust your own mind, the more you need theirs to interpret reality for you. You keep wondering why nothing changes, why your efforts don't work, why your kindness doesn't heal them. It's because they're not broken in the way you think. They don't have cracks that need mending. They have patterns that need victims. And the longer you stay available, emotionally, mentally, energetically, the longer they feed. The real issue isn't that they're toxic. It's that you're accessible. Toxic people can't do damage unless there's someone there to absorb it. And that's where the hard truth comes in. They're not stealing your peace. You're handing it over. Not because you're weak, but because you were taught that love means giving no matter the cost. That being nice means staying quiet. That loyalty means sticking around, even when it's destroying you. But silence is not strength when it protects dysfunction. Loyalty is not noble when it chains you to chaos. And love is not love if it demands that you stop loving yourself. Most people think setting boundaries is the solution. And while boundaries help, they won't save you if inside you still crave their validation. If deep down you still want them to approve, to accept you, to say you're right. That's where the real prison is, not in what they say, but in what you still wish they'd say. You see, the real reason toxic people stay in your life isn't because they're powerful. It's because you're still afraid to be seen as the bad guy, still afraid to look selfish, still afraid that walking away makes you cold, still hoping that if you're just a little more understanding, they'll finally see how much you care. But they already know, and that's exactly why they keep pushing. The real issue isn't that they're difficult. It's that you're wired to fix what's not yours to fix. Let that sink in. You were conditioned to overextend, to make room, to tolerate. And that's not your fault, but it is now your responsibility to unlearn, because here's another truth. Toxic people don't stick around because you're weak. They stick around because they can sense your strength, your empathy, your patience, your hope. And they twist those traits into weapons against you. They use your goodness as leverage. And the more you try to prove you're a good person by enduring them, the deeper they dig in. So stop asking, "What did I do wrong?" Start asking, "Why do I think I have to keep proving my worth to someone who never earned it?" You're not broken because they broke you. You're breaking because you keep giving your power to people who never deserved it. And until you see that clearly, you'll keep spinning in the same cycle. Explain, react, regret, repeat. That's why today has to be different. You can't fix someone committed to misunderstanding you. You can't grow with someone who feels threatened by your growth. You can't find peace with someone who thrives in chaos. The hidden truth. Toxic people will always exist. What determines your freedom is whether or not you're still available for their poison. And the most powerful shift isn't external, it's internal. The moment you stop needing their approval, you stop reacting. And the moment you stop reacting, they lose all control. Let's talk about what happens when you don't take your power back. Let's talk about what it costs you to stay silent, to keep absorbing, to keep pretending it's not that bad. Because the truth is, doing nothing is not neutral. It's dangerous. Every time you stay quiet when someone disrespects you, you train your nervous system to accept that as normal. Every time you laugh it off when someone belittles you, you reinforce the belief that your dignity is negotiable. Every time you hold your breath just to keep the peace, a part of you starts to disappear. And the longer you stay in this cycle, the more warped your sense of self becomes. You start questioning things you never used to doubt. You hesitate before you speak. You second-guess your tone, your face, your words. You replay every conversation not because you said something wrong, but because they made you feel like you did. It's a slow erosion. You don't even realize it's happening until one day you look in the mirror and barely recognize the person staring back. The fire in your eyes is gone. Your smile feels like a costume. Your thoughts are cloudy. Your energy, drained. Not because life is hard, but because you've been living in survival mode around people who are supposed to care. You stop dreaming. You stop taking risks. You stop speaking up. Because somewhere along the way, you learned that being too visible makes you a target. So you shrink, you soften, you play small. You start editing yourself in real time, not for clarity, but for safety. You censor your joy, your ambition, your opinions, because toxic people have taught you that being too much is a liability. That's what staying quiet costs. And if you don't reclaim your voice, your mind, your peace, you'll keep paying that price every single day. Not just in your relationships, but in your career, in your confidence, in your health. Chronic stress isn't just a buzzword, it's real. And emotional abuse. Yes, even subtle manipulation, even passive-aggressive silence is a form of trauma. And trauma lives in the body. It shows up as anxiety, insomnia, fatigue, even physical pain. You think you're just tired from work? No, you're tired from carrying other people's dysfunction on your back. And here's the most brutal part. If you don't interrupt this pattern, it doesn't end with you. You pass it on. To your children, to your team, to your future relationships. Because unhealed boundaries bleed into every space you walk into. You teach others how to treat you by what you tolerate. And when you tolerate toxicity long enough, you normalize it. You start calling survival strength. You start calling exhaustion loyalty. You start calling chaos love. No, it's not love, it's not loyalty, it's not strength, it's fear. And fear will keep you stuck in a life that looks calm on the outside. But inside, you're screaming for help. So ask yourself, how much longer are you willing to carry someone else's chaos in your body? How much longer will you sacrifice your peace to protect their dysfunction? You think staying silent keeps you safe, but it's killing you slowly. And if that feels dramatic, good. It's supposed to, because this is the wake-up call. Doing nothing is a choice. And every day you choose silence, you choose pain. Every day you avoid the truth, you delay your healing. Every day you protect them over yourself, you betray your own soul. You don't owe anyone your silence. You don't owe anyone your tolerance. You owe yourself the life you were meant to live before they made you doubt it. The longer you wait to take your power back, the harder it gets. Not because you're weak, but because you're becoming numb. Numb to mistreatment, numb to yourself, and you weren't born to live numb. You were born to feel, to think, to move freely, and to speak your truth without fear of emotional punishment. So if you've been waiting for the right moment to reclaim your peace, this is it, not next week, not when they finally change, not when you've explained it perfectly. Now. Because if you don't make the change, your silence won't just protect them, it will erase you. You want to know what changes everything. It's not a perfect comeback. It's not finally getting them to admit they were wrong. It's not blocking them or even cutting them off. It's this: you stop giving them a reaction. That's it. That's the move. That's the shift that rewires your entire reality. Because toxic people don't feed off logic. They don't crave truth. They crave access. And the fastest access to your mind is your reaction. You think staying calm means staying weak. You think not defending yourself means they win. You think if you don't respond, they'll believe they're right. Let me tell you something that might just save your sanity. You don't owe anyone your reaction, not your silence, not your explanation, not your proof, not your emotional breakdown that they can spin into guilt. Your peace is not a debate. Your worth is not a court case. Your value is not a group vote. And here's the insight that most people miss. The most dangerous person in the room isn't the one yelling. It's the one who refuses to flinch. The one who hears the provocation and stays grounded. The one who knows exactly who they are and doesn't need to prove it. That's the shift, not avoidance, not ghosting, not revenge. It's ownership. Because when you realize that they only get in if you open the door, you stop blaming them for everything they do. And you start asking why you keep giving them a key. You don't need to fight fire with fire. You need to stop handing them matches. You don't need to get louder, you need to get clearer. Clear on who you are, clear on what you deserve, clear on what kind of behavior you will never tolerate again. The truth is, toxic people don't know how to function without chaos. But chaos only works when it finds something to attach to. If there's no emotional hook, their games fall flat. If you don't rise to the bait, the trap stays empty. They insult you, you don't blink. They twist your words, you don't chase them. They go silent. You don't panic, they bait you. You smile and walk away. That's when the shift happens. Not in them, in you, because you've spent years trying to change toxic people. What if the real breakthrough was changing the way you receive them? Not every message needs a reply. Not every jab deserves a defense. Not every conflict is your responsibility to resolve. And I know that's hard, especially if you're someone who prides yourself on being kind, being fair, being strong. But you know what's stronger than reacting? Restraint, self-respect, mastery. The moment you stop needing the last word, you start building a life where their words don't even reach you. And no, that's not detachment. That's self-respect in action. You stop engaging not because you don't care, but because you finally care too much about yourself. You've outgrown the battlefield, you've upgraded to peace, and the people who thrived off your chaos, they can't follow you there. That's the breakthrough. It's not about being colder. It's about becoming wiser, not harder, but deeper. You don't become immune to toxicity by escaping it. You become immune by mastering how you respond to it. And once you master that, they can't touch you anymore. So how does this actually work? How does staying calm, doing seemingly nothing, somehow become the most powerful move you can make? It starts with understanding what toxic people are really looking for. They don't want conversation. They want chaos. They don't want understanding. They want emotional leverage. They don't want peace. They want power. And power for them comes from your reaction, your anger, your tears, your confusion, your fear, your need to explain. Every word you say in defense of yourself becomes a thread they pull, until the whole thing unravels and you're left wondering how they turned your truth into an accusation. You see, toxic behavior is a game of emotional chess. But most people don't know they're even playing. They keep thinking it's a conversation. It's not. It's a setup. Every message they send you late at night, every little jab in front of others, every just kidding insult they slip in casually. It's not random. It's a probe testing how much space they still occupy in your mind. If you flinch, they win. If you chase, they win. If you explain, apologize, overthink, lose sleep, they win. But here's the kicker. They don't win by truth. They win by confusion. So when you stay calm, you interrupt the system. They expect you to blow up. You breathe instead. They expect you to chase. You lean back. They expect you to fold. You hold your ground. What this does, psychologically, is signal a total shift in power. It tells their nervous system, consciously or not, this person is no longer accessible, and that's when panic sets in for them. Because without your engagement, they lose the ability to control how you feel, and that, to a toxic person, is like cutting off oxygen. Your calm becomes the moment their illusion crumbles. They say hurtful things, you don't react. They go silent for days, you don't chase. They bring up the past just to rile you up. You stay in the present. This isn't indifference. This is emotional clarity. It's the ability to choose stillness in the face of a storm. Think of your reaction like currency. Every time you give it to someone, you're funding their drama, you're investing in their chaos, you're helping their narrative grow. But when you stop paying, the show shuts down. No funding, no fuel, no fire. This is how the system works. They rise. You rise higher by not moving. They attack. You don't flinch. They twist the story. You refuse to play the part they wrote for you. Eventually, they stop. Because it's no longer fun. Because it no longer works. And the best part? This kind of power doesn't require confrontation. It requires clarity. You don't have to yell to reclaim your peace. You don't have to prove anything to protect your boundaries. You don't even have to say, I'm done. You just have to be done. Internally, emotionally, energetically. Because the moment you stop being available for their chaos, they lose their grip. And no, they won't like it. They'll escalate. They'll guilt you. They'll try harder, but you stay still. You don't give in. You don't explain. You don't break your own peace just to prove a point they were never going to accept. And eventually, the system breaks. Because without your reaction, they have nothing left to feed on. That's how it works. Not by fighting harder, but by refusing to play their game at all. All right, let's get practical. Because insight is powerful, but without action, nothing changes. So here are 5 clear, simple steps you can take starting today to protect your peace and reclaim control around toxic people. And these steps don't require confrontation, they don't require conflict, and they don't require you to change anyone else. They only require you to show up for yourself. Let's begin. Step 1, name the pattern. You can't shift what you don't recognize. The next time you feel that familiar sting, the gaslighting, the guilt trip, the silent treatment, the backhanded compliment, pause. Don't rush to react. Don't rush to make sense of it. Just name it internally for what it is. This is manipulation. This is control. This is emotional bait. Giving it a name separates you from the confusion. It reminds your brain, this is a pattern, not a reflection of your worth. It's not your job to analyze their behavior. It's your job to identify it and protect your energy. Step 2, disconnect emotionally before you react physically. This is key. Before you respond to a message, a question, a jab, check in with your body. How does this make you feel? Is your chest tight? Are you clenching your jaw? Are you feeling defensive or afraid? Toxic people are masters at triggering your nervous system. And when you react from that place, you hand over control. So instead, take a beat. Breathe, delay your response. Even 10 seconds of pause can interrupt the emotional hijacking. Your calm response doesn't mean you're okay with their behavior. It means you refuse to be dragged into it. Step 3, set boundaries without explanation. This is where a lot of people struggle. We feel the need to explain why we're saying no, why we're not replying, why we're choosing space. But here's the truth. Toxic people don't want your explanation, they want ammunition. Every word you give them becomes another lever they'll pull later. So practice this. I'm not available for that conversation. I don't accept being spoken to that way. I'm stepping away now. Short, clear, direct. No apology. No softness to make them feel better about crossing your line. You don't need their agreement. You only need your conviction. Step 4, anchor your calm. When they push, because they will, you need a ritual that brings you back to yourself. Maybe it's a mantra you repeat silently. Their chaos is not my responsibility. Maybe it's a deep breath and a walk outside. Maybe it's opening your notes app and writing one sentence. I choose peace today. It sounds small, but over time, these rituals retrain your brain. You're not just staying calm, you're creating a new identity, someone who is steady no matter who tries to shake you. Step 5. Reaffirm who you are. Toxic people survive by making you forget your strength. So every day, yes, every day, you need to remind yourself you are not dramatic for having feelings. You are not selfish for setting boundaries. You are not cold for walking away. You are not the problem. Start your day with truth. Write it, speak it, feel it. Because if you don't define who you are, toxic people will do it for you. These 5 steps are not a one-time fix. They're a new lifestyle. And they're not about being perfect. They're about being conscious. Every time you pause instead of react, you win. Every time you name the pattern instead of internalizing the pain, you heal. Every time you walk away instead of explaining yourself again, you grow. You're not just avoiding toxicity, you're becoming immune to it. So here's your action step for today. Pick one person, one situation, one moment that usually gets under your skin. And the next time it shows up, pause, name it, breathe, don't react. Just for that one moment, take your power back, then do it again tomorrow. And the day after that, until calm becomes your normal, and they no longer recognize the version of you they once controlled. Let me tell you a story. Her name was Rachel, mid-30s, successful on paper, great job, solid income, well-liked by everyone she worked with. But behind closed doors, she was quietly unraveling, the source of her stress. Not her workload, not her deadlines, not even the pressure of corporate life. It was her manager, a man who never raised his voice, but somehow made her feel 2 inches tall in every meeting. A man who would compliment her just enough to keep her hopeful, but criticize her just enough to keep her small. A man who would say things like, "Are you sure you're up for this? Lord, you're getting a little emotional again. Maybe sleep on it." Every time Rachel spoke up, he'd smile and twist her words in front of the team. He never yelled. He didn't have to. He weaponized professionalism. He wore a mask of support while eroding her confidence one sentence at a time. And Rachel, she did what so many of us do. She tried harder. She over-explained. She worked longer hours to prove herself. She swallowed her discomfort and told herself she was overreacting. Until one day, she found herself crying in her car before work, dreading walking into the building. Not because of the job, but because of him. That was her breaking point. And here's where the story shifts. Rachel didn't quit. She didn't go to war with him. She didn't try to expose him or write a dramatic email to HR. She did something even more powerful. She stopped engaging. She stopped defending herself in meetings. She stopped explaining her ideas to someone determined to misunderstand them. She stopped seeking his approval and started trusting her own instincts. When he made a subtle jab, she'd calmly redirect the conversation. When he questioned her competence, she'd respond with results, not emotions. When he tried to provoke her, she didn't take the bait. She even changed the way she walked into the office, shoulders back, no more apologizing for taking up space. And something remarkable happened. He got louder, more frustrated, more desperate to get a reaction. But Rachel, she stayed calm. She became untouchable. And within 6 months, her manager was transferred. You see, Rachel didn't just survive that environment. She changed her relationship to it. She realized that the problem wasn't just his toxicity. It was how available she had made herself to it. She took her power back not through rage, but through restraint. She taught herself that silence isn't weakness. It's wisdom. That walking away isn't quitting. It's choosing peace. That she didn't need to fight him to win. She just needed to stop feeding him. And in that decision, she found something she hadn't felt in years: freedom, not just from him, but from the version of herself that kept needing to be liked, to be validated, to be understood. That's the power of calm. That's the strength of detachment. That's the real-life result of putting these steps into action. You don't need to burn the bridge. You just need to stop standing on it, hoping they'll meet you in the middle. Let them stay where they are. You're moving on, and like Rachel, once you stop being reactive, once you reclaim the right to your own peace, once you stop explaining your worth to people who never valued it, oh, the game changes. Because the person you become is someone they never saw coming. There are traps, and if you're not careful, those traps will pull you right back into the cycle you've been working so hard to escape. Trap 1. Thinking you can fix them. This is the most dangerous belief of all. You think, if I just explain it better, if I show them how much I care, if I stay calm long enough, they'll change. But hear this loud and clear. Toxic people don't lack information. They lack accountability. They know what they're doing. They know how it hurts. They just don't care enough to stop. And the longer you try to be their emotional savior, the longer you'll stay stuck in their emotional trap. Your love won't change them. Your silence won't soften them. Your sacrifice won't wake them up, because they're not asleep. They're just focused on control. Don't confuse your empathy with responsibility. You can care without carrying. Trap 2, needing closure. This one's hard. You want that final conversation, that acknowledgement, that apology. That sentence that validates everything you went through. But with toxic people, closure is a myth. Because the moment you give them the chance to explain, they twist it, they spin the story, they cry, they blame you, they shift guilt. And you walk away even more confused than before. Closure doesn't come from their mouth. It comes from your decision. You don't need them to say, "You were right." You need to say to yourself, "I was always enough, even when they made me feel like I was." Let that be your ending. Trap 3. Over-explaining your boundaries. When you say no, mean no. You don't owe a detailed essay. You don't have to make it sound nice. You don't have to soften your truth to make them more comfortable. Every time you over-explain, you give them space to debate. And toxic people love debate, not to understand you, but to wear you down. Keep your boundaries clear, short, firm, respectful, but not apologetic. I'm not available for that. I'm stepping away. This no longer works for me. That's enough. Trap 4. Thinking calm equals passive. Staying calm doesn't mean you tolerate abuse. It means you choose how you show up without giving them your emotional power. But calm doesn't mean quiet when action is needed. If someone crosses a clear line, you don't have to yell. But you do have to respond. Calm can say, I'm not continuing this conversation. I won't accept being spoken to like that. I'm leaving now. It's not passive, it's powerful. Trap 5, expecting quick results. Let's be honest, this process takes time. You'll slip. You'll react. You'll have days where you want to scream, cry, explain it all over again. And that's okay. This isn't about perfection, it's about progress. The first time you pause instead of snap, mark it. The first time you say no without guilt, celebrate it. The first time you walk away from the drama instead of diving in, own it. You are unlearning years of people-pleasing, over-giving, and self-abandonment. So give yourself grace. But don't give yourself excuses, because the moment you think, maybe they're not that bad, maybe I'm being too sensitive, that's the moment they pull you back in. And you've come too far to go back now, so what should you avoid? Avoid explaining your soul to people committed to misunderstanding it. Avoid expecting healing from the same place that broke you. Avoid confusing manipulation with love. Avoid shrinking to fit someone else's comfort zone. And above all, avoid betraying yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. Your peace matters more than their opinion. Your growth matters more than their approval. Your healing matters more than their version of the story. You don't have to fight them. You just have to stop feeding them. And when you do, everything changes. Let's bring this home. You've spent too many years giving your power away. Too many days consumed by other people's moods, comments, silence, and manipulation. Too many sleepless nights trying to figure out how to say it better, next time how to fix what you didn't even break. Enough. You don't need one more apology from them. You don't need one more chance for them to change. You don't need one more moment of your life wasted waiting for someone to treat you like a human being. You need this. Peace, clarity, freedom, and that starts today. Not when they come around, not when you feel perfectly ready, not when the timing feels right. Today, because here's the truth. The longer you wait to stand up for your peace, the more damage is done silently. Inside your body, inside your heart, inside your future. You think avoiding conflict is keeping the peace, but all it's doing is keeping you stuck. So here's your challenge. Start small. Start where you are. Start with something simple and clear. Tomorrow morning. Yes, tomorrow, I want you to pick one relationship, one situation, one conversation that usually drains you. And instead of planning how to respond, instead of drafting your defense, instead of predicting their reaction, just pause, just breathe, just say to yourself, I choose calm, I choose myself. That's it. You don't have to have the perfect words. You don't have to win the conversation. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You just have to show up for yourself in that moment, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it feels new, even if your voice shakes inside your own head. Because the goal isn't to become colder, it's to become clearer, so clear that their noise doesn't even make it past your peace. And if you slip, if you react, if you get pulled in again, forgive yourself, learn, and go again. You are not weak because this is hard. You are powerful because you're willing to try again. Every time you pause instead of argue. Every time you walk away instead of chase. Every time you protect your peace instead of your pride. You win. Not them, you, and the more you practice, the stronger you get. Not louder, not tougher, not meaner, stronger, grounded, calm, untouchable. So tomorrow, don't just think about it. Do something, say less, react less, own more. One moment of self-control can undo years of being controlled. And remember this, because I mean it. You don't need to raise your voice to reclaim your life. You just need to stop letting broken people tell you who you are. Let today be the day you take back your peace. Let tomorrow be the day you prove to yourself that calm is your new superpower. No more waiting, no more rehearsing, no more hoping they'll change. The change is you. You don't feel the rush of anxiety. You don't feel the tightness in your chest. You're not shrinking, you're not preparing to defend, you're not bracing for the next jab. You're calm, still, steady. You see them, but they no longer reach you. Their words fall flat. Their tone has no grip. Their presence has no weight, because you've reclaimed every inch of space they used to occupy inside your mind. And for the first time, you don't need anything from them. Not validation, not resolution, not even an apology. They're still the same, but you're not. You've outgrown the story. You've stopped auditioning for roles in their drama. You've stopped playing defense in a game they created to make you doubt your strength. And now you're free. Not because they changed, but because you did. Because you finally saw that their power was never real. It was borrowed, given by you. And the moment you took it back, the story ended. No closure, no grand confrontation, just peace. The kind that whispers, "You don't live here anymore." So here's what I want you to carry with you as this episode ends. Your silence can be a prison, or a boundary. Your calm can be surrender, or strategy. And the version of you who no longer needs to react. That's not weakness. That's mastery. Let them talk. Let them twist. Let them try. You've already walked past them, and now you've got nothing left to prove, and everything left to build. So here's my final question for you. The one I want echoing in your mind long after this episode fades. If they no longer had access to your emotions, who could you become? Let that answer lead you forward. Let it become your new reality. Because the calmest version of you is the most powerful one they'll never see coming.